Welcome back to Miniature Game Montage and another bolt action battle report. Today my friend James is over with his Germans preparing to do battle against my US force. A quick disclaimer that these battle reports are purely for entertainment purposes. We may miss some rules or do some weird tactics, but we're playing very casually and having fun. If you catch anything, or if you would like to reach out to me, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. And as always, you can support our efforts with a like on this video. Your subscription is much appreciated. Now, on to the lists. The U.S. forces are led by a second lieutenant and one additional man. Both of these gentlemen are equipped with rifles. We will have an infantry squad at full strength with 9 rifles, a rifle on the NCO, and 2 BARs. We will have another unit of the exact same with 9 rifles, an NCO with a rifle, and 2 BARs. Another group with 9 rifles and 1 NCO with a rifle. And then we are going to have a medium mortar team, a 57mm anti-tank gun, a 2-man bazooka team, and a Sherman 75. The mortar team has a spotter, the infantry have anti-tank grenades, in total 998 points. The Germans will be led by a first lieutenant, and he has 2 men along with him. They are regular. There will be an infantry squad with a number of different weapons, assault rifles, machine guns, Panzerfaust. Another group that is going to have rifles, assault rifles, light machine guns, and then the final group with 2 Panzerfaust. They will be riding in the Hanomag. And then we have a Panther tank out on the board. There's a combination of veterans and regulars out there, total 988 points. Today we are playing the scenario Double Envelopment, where seizing terrain fast is the key to strategic victory. Both sides will be placing half of their forces into reserves and deploying at least 12 inches from the middle line going down the center of the board. Both players are trying to move as many of their forces into the opponent's deployment zone as possible, and even off their opponent's board edge if they can do so. We have a variable game length, and victory will go to the side that has at least 2 more points than the other person. You get 1 victory point for every enemy unit destroyed. You also score 2 victory points for each of your own units that is inside the defender's setup area, even if it's only partially there, and 3 victory points for each of your own units that has moved off the enemy's table edge before the end of the game. And with that, we are ready for turn 1. The Americans have deployed the medium mortar, 2 infantry squads, and the second lieutenant. And over for the Germans, the first lieutenant is on the board along with 2 of the infantry squads. We're really looking forward to a good matchup between these 2 forces, and as I go back and edit through some of this footage, there are some really good dice rolls and some really good narrative elements to this battle report, which I really like, so I hope you stay tuned for that. Turn 1 coming up. Alright, first die out of the bag belongs to the Americans, and the medium mortar team is going to attempt to fire a mortar at the German infantry, needing a 6 and just misses on this 5. The Germans pull a die out of the order bag and movement begins for the other infantry squad as they play a run, moving up to the wall. Several reserves are kept down before the Americans activate next, and they play a run order for one of their infantry squads, moving up the left flank and getting behind the building for cover. The second lieutenant also activates and moves up behind the wall. Over for the Germans, the first lieutenant is going to play an advance, and they are moving into the buildings here. And then over for the Americans, the infantry unit will also play a run, and they are moving up behind the church. On the U.S. right flank, the Germans have issued a run, and they move into the crop fields. And that's the end of a very quick turn 1. The U.S. mortar team took a shot at the infantry, ended up missing that shot, and then there were runs and advances across the board as both sides looked to take up better positions. First die out of the bag for turn 2 goes over to the Germans, and we will see the Panther come onto the battlefield, and it is going to play an advance, immediately eye down the U.S. infantry moving up the middle of the board. So the Panther's going to fire all of his machine guns, base 3, it is a range 4, and then heavy cover 6. And there's going to be one hit that goes through from all of those machine gun shots. And 5s will be needed to wound because they are veterans. So he is going to get a 6, and he is going to roll an additional die to see if it is exceptional damage. And it is not. 1 casualty. That infantry squad will go ahead and activate. They will roll off their pin marker by passing a morale test, and they are going to play an advance, moving to the right of the church, bringing the other German infantry into range of the rifles and the BARs, and they're going to shoot. And the infantry squad will fire with 10 rifle shots and 4 BAR shots. They are long range, normally hitting on a 3. The range takes it to a 4, soft cover for 5s, and those shots ring out, and there's going to be 1 hit that goes through. And while that is enough to get a pin on the Germans, we are going to roll up. As these guys are regular, it is not enough to wound. The Hanomag comes onto the board next for the Germans, and it will target my infantry unit that just shot at the German infantry, and the machine guns ring out. They need 3s to hit, as my guys are out in the open. 2 hits will go through, and then he needs 5s to do damage, as they are veterans. 1 goes through. It could be excessive, so he will roll up for that, and it is successful, and James decides to remove one of my BARs. Next die out goes to the Germans, and James is going to activate that infantry unit. He will roll off that pin with an 8. They only have 1 on them. They are regulars. They advance, moving up, and then bring their guns to bear on the infantry squad that just took a pin. So normally hitting on a 3, the range is 4, and moving is 5. 1 will go through. And then they are veterans, so 5s will be needed to cause damage. And he does again. The next die out of the bag belongs to the Germans, and an advance will be played, and they are moving over the wall and up behind the other side of the church. Then the U.S. will pull an order die, and the mortar team will take a shot at this infantry team that is out in the open. They are more than 12 inches away, so this can be done. And hitting on a 6, they will do so. The template comes out, and it will get 3 of them under the template. They are regular, so 4s will be needed to score damage, and 3 go through. 1 is a potential exceptional, and that's no good, so 3 go down. We then roll D3 pin markers. They take 2. The Americans pull the next order die, and the Sherman 75 rumbles onto the battlefield, targets the Hanomag just across the way, and lets loose a shot from his main cannon, and it is easily going to connect on this 6, and we are immediately going to roll up to see if it does damage, and it will do so on this 4. So the shot penetrates. We roll up on the damage table. It is a 4, and that Hanomag is going to be knocked out. The crew bails out. The Hanomag goes up in smoke. We roll up a d6 for the crew, bailing out of the Hanomag, and 6 hits will be scored there. They are veterans, so we will need 5s in order to do damage. And rolling those out, there will be 3 damage that is done. 2 of them could be exceptional. We're going to roll for them. There will not be any excessive damage, but 3 infantry are removed. As the Germans climb out of the smoke and rubble, the Sherman 75 is going to point his machine gun at the infantry standing directly in front of him, and 5 shots will go out, needing 4s. And rolling those dice up, there will be 3 hits that go through. That's going to be another pin marker on this squad. And then they are regular, so needing 4s to score damage. 3 infantry stands are taken down. The second lieutenant then activates. He plays an advance, and they are going to fire their rifles down at the infantry squad. They are now a small team, so base 3, small team 4, range 5. So 2 rifle shots go out and no hits there. Next up, the bazooka team for the Americans is pulled. They move on to the board with a run up behind the woods. And then the Germans pull a die. They are going to advance the first lieutenant out of the house and into the streets. Next up, the Americans pull a die, bringing on some infantry from reserve. These veteran infantry squad, they're going to target the lone man out there. They've got him in the open. But due to the pen and him being a small team, he needs 6s on the rifles, 5s on the BAR, and they all miss. And the next order die out of the bag belongs to the Americans. These guys are going to be brave. They are hoping to pull the next die out on the next turn, and they are going to move with a run order. They are just clipping where they can see that Panther, so we are going to roll for Tiger Fear. They are going to pass, and the run order is successful. So turn 2 in the books, the Americans do score 1 victory point for taking out the Hanomag across the way. The mortars connected with a shot, eliminating several of the German troops, and then lots of advances and moves across the board. Bazooka team moved on. The infantry trying to sneak up on this Panther tank just across this crop field, and we are getting ready for turn 3. And the Americans pull the first order die, deciding to leave the left flank alone. These guys will pass an order test, remove 1 pin. They're going to advance into the crop field and fire at the German infantry over on the right flank. Due to range and light cover, they're going to need 5s. And the rifles ring out in orange, the BARs in blue, and there's going to be no hits. I believe the BARs even needed 4s here, and still no hits. The next order die out activates the Sherman 75, and he fires at the infantry squad off in the distance. Easily hits with an HE shot. It's going to get 4 under the template, and these are veterans, so we'll need 5s to score damage. And that is going to be 1 damage. It could be exceptional, so we roll for that, and that does not go through. 1 will be taken down, and then the machine guns are going to fire into the lone NCO, and those dice roll out. 1 hit will go through. He is regular, so 4s needed to kill, and a 6 is rolled out. That is easily going to be a kill for the Americans. Germans pull the next die, take an order test. They roll up a 7. There's 2 pins on this squad. That makes it a 9, which is still good. And they are going to activate. The Americans are up 2-0 now, removing 2 order dice from the bag. And those units pop out on the other side of this crop field. The 2 Panzerfaust in this unit take aim at the Sherman 75, and 2 shots go out. These are both going to hit on a 5 and a 6, rolling for damage. These are penetration value of 6. They do have shape charge, and it's going to be 2 5s. Both of these are going to penetrate, and we're going to roll up on the damage table, and that is going to be a 6. That is going to send that Sherman up in smoke. The rest of the unit will fire into the American infantry off in the crop field. And those dice roll out. There will be 1 hit that goes through on this 6, needing 5s to do damage. And that one is cocked, re-rolling that out. No damage, but they will take another pin. Next order die out is for the Germans, and the Panther tank will activate. He moves up, pivots, and will fire all of the machine guns into the U.S. infantry there. They elect to go down. These guys are veterans, however, so 5s will be needed to do damage, and there's nothing going there. Next up, the medium mortar team will get an assist from the spotter. They're going to target the German infantry off behind the church, and a mortar shot goes out, hitting on a 6. We pull the template out, and 3 are underneath the template, and these are regular, so 4s will be needed to score damage. That's going to be 1 dead. And D3 pin markers being rolled out on that unit, it will be 3. Americans pull the next order die, advance being played by the infantry squad on the right flank as they move up behind the smoking tank, and they're going to bring their guns to fire at the German infantry. The rifle shots will be in orange, the BARs in blue. Some of these rifles are going to be in short range, so we are going to fire them first. And those shots come out. We are going to get a handful of hits on 3s here. They are in the open. 3 hits will go through. And these guys are veterans, so needing 5 ups to do damage. That's going to be 2 damage that go through. 1 with the potential to be excessive. It is not. But 2 go down. The rest of these will roll out, needing 4s due to the long-range modifier. And we're going to get several hits that go through on these as well. And 4 dice will be rolled out to score damage. 5 dice. And will again need 5s due to veteran just needs 2 to bring this squad down, and that's exactly what they get. Next order die out of the bag belongs to the Germans, and this infantry squad with 3 pin markers on, they passed their morale test off camera, getting the modification from the first lieutenant. The Americans pulling away with another victory point. They are going up 3-1. The Germans here issue a run order, trying to get further down the road here and get their squads into scoring position. The next order out goes to the bazooka team, and they are going to advance into the woods. And then the next die also belongs to the Americans. The 57mm cannon will pop onto the board, and it is going to target the Panther tank, needing a 4 here due to movement. And that cannon will fire. It will land a hit on this 4. The roll to damage, however, fails. Next die belongs to the Germans, and the first lieutenant is going to make a run move around the side of the church. The American second lieutenant will then play an advanced, getting fully behind cover, and then will take shots with their 2 rifles at the first lieutenant of the German infantry, and he is going to connect on this 5. That's exactly what he needed. So 1 hit will go through. It will give them a pin. They are regular, needing 4s to do damage, and there is no damage. At the end of turn 3, the score is 3-1, and the Americans have freed up the right flank. There is a battle raging on the left, however, as the Germans make their way down the streets, and the Panther continues to hammer on the U.S. infantry. And the Americans can feel the weight of the dice bag is in their favor. The Americans pull the first order die. They're going to take an order test with the infantry on the left flank. They will roll off the pin marker, and they are going to announce a charge into the German infantry to prevent them from scoring. The German infantry let loose with a hail of fire, and 6 hits will connect as they only needed 3s. These are veteran infantry, so they will need 5s to score damage, and 3 of these go through, 2 of them being exceptional damage. So he's going to roll out 2 dice to see if the exceptional damage goes through, and the NCO is cut down. And letting forth their battle cry, they charge into the wall, and they are going to attack at the same time as they are going across an obstacle. I make a big mistake here, as these Germans are tough fighters, and you're going to find out exactly what that means in a minute. We both swing at the same time. I need 4s to do damage, and I cut down 2 of the infantry, and then the Germans are going to swing back. And we'll go down to the live audio for this one. All right, let's see it. Needing 5s. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, they all...
See y'all.
Oh my gosh. Now, tough fighters means he would have got to attack twice, and you could tell that he didn't need to, as he cut down that entire unit, rolling all 5s and 6s. Next die up is the Americans. The 57mm anti-tank gun takes fire at the Panther. It will get a hit, which will put a pin marker on the tank. The roll to damage, however, fails. And then the mortar team is going to take a shot at the German infantry coming down the street, getting a spot from the spotter on the hill. That shot will fail. The Panther tank is then going to move up into position, and he is going to take an order test here just to see if he rolls off that pin marker, and he will do so. He's then going to target the 57mm cannon, and 12 shots rattle off from the machine guns, needing 4s. And it looks like 4 hits are going to go through, just taking a +1 modifier due to moving. And this is just a regular squad, so 4s are needed. The gun shield takes it to a 5. He still kills 2. There is 1 of the crew still remaining on that gun. Next order die out of the bag belongs to the Germans, and the first lieutenant successfully rolls off the pin, and they move further down the street with a run order. And then following behind them, the squad here also passes an order test, and they will do a run move as well. And the rest of the orders belong to the Americans. This infantry squad in the middle, they actually failed their order test, and they will go down. The infantry on the right flank, they are going to play in advance, moving further up the field. The U.S. second lieutenant is going to play a run order, as the Germans are out of line of sight at this point. And then the bazooka team is going to play in advance as they move up out of the terrain, and they are going to target the Panther tank with the bazooka. And we are counting this as going into the side, shooting at pretty much point blank range. He did move, however, going to get a 4, so that is going to hit the tank. And then rolling for damage, it is also going to be a 4, so getting the +1 for going into the side, that will exceed the tank's armor and rolls up a 6 on the damage. We do reduce that out, and the tank is going to catch fire. The tank's crew takes an order test and fails on this 11, and they can't put the fire out. The crew abandons the tank, and they leave it on the battlefield. And with that, we are going to end up calling this one as an American victory, as the Germans, they are in the U.S. deployment zone. They would be able to get 2 units off the board next turn, scoring them 6 victory points for a total of 7. However, there's no way that they can stop the tide of Americans from now moving across to the other side and scoring on their own. So with a hearty handshake, we wrap this one up and look forward to bringing you more bolt action battle reports in the future. I know that we still got several things wrong in this, but the more we play, the more we are getting better at the rules. So just continue to bear with us. There's better reports coming on the way, as I think James is looking to expand into SS, and me, I'm looking to get some Russians. So more bolt action to come further down the road, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching.